Hey guys, welcome to this edition of Bitcoin Brief. It is Tuesday, September 1st, a new month, and we've got Tone Vays with that incredible view out there in LA. He's our Bitcoin educator, consultant, and trader. We have Jimmy Song with us, all things tech, talks about, he's a Bitcoin programmer. And I'm Christine Lee, your journalist from New York, hosting this edition. So Tone, my gosh, tell me about where are you? What this beautiful view you're waking up to. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm visiting some friends in north of LA. I'm in Ojai Valley. I'm not even sure how they pronounced it.
Oh,
Uh,
hi.
Ojai. There you go. You know California better than me. And I'm in Ojai Valley. It's great, near the top of the mountain. The infinity pool is incredible. I'm gonna probably do a video later tonight, and the hosts of the house, they run like an incubator here, and we're going to talk to them about some of the companies.
Gorgeous. Jimmy, how are things on your end?
I'm kind of recovering from BitBlock Boom. I thought it was an amazing conference. It just felt so normal for once, and it's the first taste of normalcy I've had since pretty much Tone's conference back in February. So I'm very glad to have met a whole ton of Bitcoiners and hanging out with them. I kind of wish I totally had regret the next day that I didn't get to stay for that dinner or the brunch the next day. But it is what it is. I'm hoping that more conferences will be in person soon enough, because I really did miss it. So yeah, that's my one little thing to say.
Definitely, we're seeing more things open. I can say from New York, I'm seeing signs throughout the city saying, welcome back, New York City. I'm seeing a lot of, my gym is opening up, so that's new. And we'll see how long this keeps up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting outside the apartment more. Okay, so with that, let's take a look at what's going on in the world of crypto. First off, though, we're going to be starting off with the shitcoin world. um, so we're starting off with Roger Ver, and we've got a tweet from Roger saying, diverting part of the Bitcoin Cash block reward to pay a single development team is a Soviet-style central planner's dream come true. Please stop. What is he talking about here, Tone?
Yeah, um, so it's hard to figure out which side Roger is on. I don't pay attention that closely to it. I thought that he wanted a minor subsidy, but now he is saying that he doesn't want the minor subsidy. So I am very, very confused. But like I love that feature that says, show me how many people have quoted actually they took screenshots. So if you just go to the next link that we had for this, and these are, oh no, for that topic, sorry. Oh, I don't know if you have it. Damn. Those other two tweets.
Let me see
Anyway,
if I can pull it up.
I did a quote tweet of it for certain. So
yeah, they're in a Telegram group chat, and wanted to mention those a little bit more. So like I'm very confused about what's going on in their community. I'm getting confused as to who wants what. And the outcome of it is exactly what Jimmy and I predicted back in 2017 when the original fork was happening, and someone commented on that in that tweet as well. So yeah, that's probably it loading. Yeah, right there. So I've met Vin Armani at like PorkFest, and we were on a panel together. And you can see if you scroll up actually to in this tweet.
the next tweet right there is where he says,
Right, but that was the original one right there. Roger has completely lost the plot. All you have to do is all you have to do to not pay ABC is not run ABC software. You have a voluntary take action. So I guess Roger is going to stick to Bitcoin Unlimited. and he no longer wants the miner subsidy, because I guess most of the people don't want the miner subsidy, but his developers want the miner subsidy. So now who's going to be coding Roger's coin? Like, Roger's the promoter. He runs Bitcoin.com. He runs the Bitcoin.com pool. He runs an exchange. All of that belongs to their company. And meanwhile, he's going to lose Amarissa Shea, and he's going to be coding on Bitcoin ABC with the miner subsidy. Looks like Roger doesn't want to go that route, and it's becoming a giant mess. So now if you scroll down to the tweet where Jimmy and I are mentioned, and I thought about retweeting it, but I don't really retweet that often, and it's there somewhere. Wow, it's
If
a lot
you
of
just
response.
press back button, I think it'll show it.
Okay, I thought it was, like, I guess on my Twitter feed.
Right there, right there. No, one up.
One up.
That
Okay.
one, yeah.
So there it is. So Tone Vays and Jimmy Song predicted this after the Bcash fork in 2017, saying Bitcoin would continue to fork and fight and fork and fight continuously until there was a million different versions. Well, maybe not a million, but there's certainly going to be a dozen or so. I don't believe it. I didn't believe it then, but boy, this has become a rather unfortunate and accurate prediction. And I will hand it off to Jimmy.
Yeah, I think it's fairly obvious what's been happening. If you haven't been paying attention, basically back in I think it was like March or April, right around then, a bunch of Chinese miners came up with a plan to fund BCH development by taking some of the miner subsidy. The community did not like that because it was just going to go to an address that was controlled entirely by Amory and so on. Even though Roger signed on to that, he later sort of recanted, as pretty much the entire BCH community came out against it, at least here in the Western hemisphere. I think the people in China might have been more welcoming towards that kind of idea. But that has sort of been simmering for a while now, to the point where the Via BTC guy, Haipo Yang, has decided to go with Bitcoin Cat, which is a fork. And Amory Sachet has decided to code in the block subsidy for himself. And one of the things that he's mentioning in the other tweet that we were looking at is, he needs some money in order to continue development. But if he were doing it just for the money, he could probably get a lot more of the developer subsidy, is sort of the point that he was making. Roger Ver is not happy with this because he thinks it's sort of unilateral, centralized, decision making, which it kind of is. But this is what he signed up for. He agreed to centralize the currency in order to get bigger blocks. And when I quote tweeted this, I basically said, "Hey, you think that was a good trade? Trading in centralization in order to get bigger blocks, because bigger blocks hasn't done anything for them at all. And centralization is getting them split after split after split. We saw this with BSV splitting off from BCH. We're probably going to have a BCH split. And according to Calvin Ayre, if BSV is Craig Wright has to pay the climate suit, then what they're going to do is basically hard fork BSV in order to take all of Satoshi's coins and give it to Craig so that he could give it to climate.
Oh, that's hilarious.
If that's what happens, then I am positive that there would be some people in BSV that will not follow that fork and go do something else. So we could be looking at like 4 or 5 different, descendants of the original BCH,
which is what we said back in 2017 would happen.
Yeah, this is the thing. If you're somebody that's divorced like 3 times, there's a pretty large likelihood that you're going to divorce again, if you do get married. So like, it's a pattern of behavior. And that's kind of what we're seeing. It's very like when people fight over who gets to have control, you know, the easiest thing to do is split, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, just one last comment. And during all this, if exchanges don't delist BCH, they're just insane. Good luck with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of technical things that they're going to have to do, and honestly, the volume on this stuff, especially these minor forks and stuff, it's not going to justify all of the developer time that they're going to have to put into in order to do this stuff. Who knows if Bitcoin Cat's going to have malware? Nobody really knows, and you know, that's exactly what got Cryptsy, like you know, that what caused Cryptsy to lose so much of their money was they listed a coin that they didn't really check, and that ended up having malware.
Certainly seems like all these forks are becoming a cult personality and just a way of different personalities to be a dictator of their own coin.
That's what all altcoins really are, honestly.
All right. Moving along, we hear that the US Homeland Security can now track privacy crypto Monero. So taking a look at Monero, the popular privacy coin might not be so private anymore, as CipherTrace claims to have developed tools to trace it. In brief, CipherTrace claims to have built a Monero tracking tool set. The tools were created for the US Department of Homeland Security. CipherTrace paints it as a positive for XMR by adding legitimacy to the privacy coin. Jimmy, how did they go about doing this? And does this strip Monero of all the claims that they had put forward in terms of being this anonymous coin?
Well, the thing about Monero is that they never had fully confidential transactions. The way their confidential or their anonymity works is that they take a bunch of you know, previous transactions, and you don't know which one of them is being spent, but it is one of them. And there are ways to sort of de-anonymize that a little bit. The thing is, any privacy is only as good as the anonymity set that you're in. And Monero's anonymity set honestly isn't that big because, you know, even if you're taking ring signatures of 7 previous UTXOs, you know that it's one of those 7 UTXOs that's being spent. And there are ways to figure out, okay, was this other one done that way? And there are probabilistic ways to sort of de-anonymize in that way. So essentially, they've come up with a tool that gives them some level of confidence about how traceable these are. And that's what they're saying. I don't know how effective it is or how good it is, and that's still kind of a question. It's possible that this sort of article is a way to warn people off of Monero because they don't like it, and it's like, oh, we can trace you anyway, there's no point in using it. Might be one of those stories. It's hard to tell, but you know, yeah, that's all I'll say.
Tony, you want to weigh in on that?
I don't have that much to add. I was never, I mean, these things were interesting back in 2014. By the time 2015 came around, I already labeled Monero in that shitcoin bucket, along with all that other stuff. And the anonymity set, like Jimmy just stated, it was never very high. Using Monero for privacy was, you know, unreasonably, you know, naive and optimistic at best. And yeah, it's I'm not surprised. I don't know the technical angle behind it, but even if it did have, and this is what I kept saying, even if Monero did have ridiculous privacy, it was still not going to amount to much in the future because Bitcoin will have sufficient enough privacy with a giant anonymity set.
All right. Taking a look at Congress to the IRS, proof of stake block rewards should not be taxed as income. New letter asks for sensible policy that better reflects the nature of token creation via staking, and its logic applies to proof of work as well. So a bipartisan group of members of Congress have sent a letter to the IRS asking that staking rewards for validators and proof of stake networks be taxed when sold rather than treated as income. Tone, is this a good development or?
Yeah, I'm going to make this quick. This is just a frustrating development. Look, I'm against taxes as much as the next guy, but this is just so hypocritical. And talk about, hey, your hard work, like mining, is going to get taxed, but your scammy inflation of creating infinite amount of tokens from nothing by being rich, getting richer, should not be taxed is just ridiculous.
Jimmy, you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to be asking about. You know, proof of stake block reward should not be taxed as income. I guess what they're saying is it should be counted as capital gains or something, or dividends or something like that.
No, Jimmy. What they're saying is that it should only be taxed as capital gains when you sell the token for profit.
I mean, see, these are sort of like the arbitrary rules of the IRS, and they can do kind of whatever they want with it, I guess. Like I don't think the income tax is actually that just in the first place. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of a ridiculous thing. It does affect people, I'm sure, but yeah, what this tells me is that there's a bunch of people that are lobbying about proof of stake to a lot of congressmen, and that's kind of what's happened.
All right. We're going to talk about Ethereum, which has been making the headlines. Ethereum tokens worth 1 billion vulnerable to fake deposit attack. Over 1 billion worth of tokens on the Ethereum blockchain are missing a software standard released in 2017, setting them up to be hijacked and drained from trading exchanges, according to new research. Jimmy, have you looked into this new finding? And I imagine you're not surprised by this new flaw.
There's actually one more. The next headline is more Ethereum technological issues. So probably best to pull up both headlines.
Okay,
about Ethereum.
We've got another one. Okay, buggy code release knocks 13% of Ethereum nodes offline. A critical bug has left 13% of Ethereum nodes useless, highlighting what is a growing chink in the network's armor, client centralization. We also have Ethereum transactions fees set a record once again as DeFi becomes even pricier. Ethereum transactions fees have soared to new all-time highs for the second time in 3 weeks, according to on-chain data analyzed by CoinDesk. And finally, we have Vitalik Buterin comparing DeFi tokenomics to the Fed's money printer. Ethereum's co-founder has taken aim at coins designed to incentivize yield farming, comparing their underlying economics to irresponsible monetary policies. We know from the Fed they are now taking an average of inflation at more than 2%, which means we could see higher inflation in the future. And basically, Vitalik not looking at yield farming very kindly. He has tweeted against it seriously. The sheer volume of coins that need to be printed nonstop to pay liquidity providers in these 50 to 100% year yield farming regimes makes major national central banks look like they're all run by Ron Paul. All right, so
I want to comment real quick and then give it to Jimmy. 13% of Ethereum sounds like one archival node went offline. I'm not sure why an article deserves to be written about that, but I'll hand it off to Jimmy from there.
All right, if you can go back to the first story. So this is basically a fake deposit attack. Certain contracts, like smart contracts in Ethereum, are hard. And it's hard because Solidity is a terrible language. It's hard to prove anything on there. It's not strict enough for things like that. So you end up with bugs like this. There's a fake deposit attack that's available according to some research by some academics that published it from China. Anyway, it's not a surprise that I think there's about $1 billion worth of value locked up in those smart contracts. The mitigation seems fairly easy, but this is something that you're going to have to do in order to make sure that you're not getting a fake deposit attack as an exchange or something like that. The second one is more about a bug that they didn't catch with parity, and basically it knocks off the people running that particular software. If you were running something else, then it would be fine. But something like 13% of the Ethereum network works on that particular one. The third story, can you click over, Christine? Ethereum is right now in a bull market, and it's mostly because of a scam, DeFi. This is nothing new. This is exactly what happened in 2017. As all of these scams come online on Ethereum, you get higher fees and so on. Except with DeFi, it's even worse because it's not just about like getting in for the token generation event. It's a continuous one where you have to get, you have to do things on chain in order to get your DeFi product. And as the last story shows, basically, even Vitalik is getting nervous about how crazy this is getting. And he doesn't like that, and he knows something's up. Like what's going on? Why like the fees are absolutely crushing Ethereum, and people can't really do much other than DeFi. So ultimately, what this means is that DeFi is kind of at a it would like to go up higher as a bubble, but it can't because of all of the fees that are involved currently. So, that's probably why he is downplaying DeFi and so on, despite it having been sort of the narrative of Ethereum for the last 6 months. So as a result, what you're getting are, high fees and a lot of people hyping up all sorts of weird DeFi projects that really are so complicated. They might as well be like, I don't know, like some complicated derivative on Wall Street or something like that, except no one's making any money, right? Like, or as the system as a whole isn't generating value, it's just a zero-sum game. So for every winner, there's a loser. And that seems to be the case. It's working very much like a Ponzi scheme like that tweet says.
All right. Very good rundown of the Ethereum world. Tone, what's your take on these latest headlines?
I really don't have that much to add. I mean, these are all pretty much Ponzi schemes. It's just you stake your coin for yield farming and then you just earn a token. And then there is always a story behind the token as to why it's useful and why it's great. Woke up this morning, I was actually going through a Twitter feed for a change and saw a bunch of stuff about, I don't know, making sushi on the Ethereum blockchain. I don't know what the hell this nonsense is. So at this point, it's almost like Bitcoin Cat, you just come up with, it's like copywriting, it's like, hey, I got this white paper writer out of India, really good writer, US educated. He's just gonna knock out like 2 white papers a day, just making up random shit, and maybe one of them will stick. So this week it's sushi. Next week, I don't know, it's gonna be something else. Like, who knows? Who cares? This is
Yam. Remember
nonsense.
the yam.
I'm not touching it. Yeah, yams. Just come up with avocados, like whatever you want.
I'm sure there will be a tofu one. Yeah.
Yeah, just come up with something. It's crazy.
Yeah, when I first heard about yield farming, I thought it was an interesting idea, staking a coin, getting some sort of yield back in return. But there's a lot of skepticism I'm reading from Vitalik. I personally am steering clear of the yield farming space completely until it settles down into something more sustainable, but I'm not particularly a smart mind in DeFi.
What kills me is, why do people think there is innovation here? Like, what exactly is innovative about taking something that's worth value, giving it to someone else to hold, and earning interest? But in this case, you're earning interest in some random thing that others want to speculate in. Like there's no innovation here, guys. I hate
No,
it.
it's a giant casino. That's all it is, and they want to see if they can play it in such a way as to make money. And it's a zero-sum game, and we know that because there's no actual value being created. So we'll see. The big winners are the Ethereum miners who are getting some insane fees.
Right, and ironically, Ethereum wants to eliminate the miners.
But would the end goal be to be able to stake some coin or something in the form of a loan to someone who could use that in turn for funding a business, a home, or something or
Right,
other?
but
And
that's
then,
not what the majority of these people are doing. They're just staking it to earn some other coin.
true. Okay, moving on, we're going to take a look. Speaking of alternative altcoins, we're looking at INX security token offering, and we saw that Alan Silver did an interview with Patrick McCormick, in which he mentioned something.
Peter McCormick.
Peter McCormick, sorry, what did I say? I don't know. Peter McCormick. And he said something here, here's a quote. "We want INX token holders to be our brand ambassadors. XRP Army is a little cringy, but something along the same lines." The Silver brothers are two of the cringiest people in this space. And we did have some comments on that from Tone, saying, WTF, did he actually say that? I have not called him a scammer yet, but I think this quote starts to put him over the line. Tone, want to elaborate?
Sure. So I actually started listening to the podcast. It's about an hour and a half long. I think I made it 45 minutes and then we had to do the show. So I didn't get a chance to finish it. So I didn't get to that quote that Mr. Hodl, referenced. I'm assuming that's true. Mr. Hodl has been a very consistent, fairly honest person in the space. I have not had any problems with him up to this point, and he's been around longer than me. So I'm gonna assume that quote is true. And I'm sorry, the XRP Army is not a little cringy. The XRP Army is outright scammy. So you don't want that. I don't understand how these people in the crypto space are getting away with. We're gonna have people that are speculating in our product, speculating in the security of our product, shill our product. Like, how does this happen? It doesn't make sense, and I don't understand how he can say that and not have the SEC all over his ass after that statement. Now, I did start listening to this podcast, and man, the Samson was on the podcast, Jameson Lopper was on the podcast, and they're not. I don't think they're helping their situation at all. Samson was asked a question early on to explain the difference between, what is a shitcoin, and Samson does not believe that Litecoin is a shitcoin. He does not believe that Monero is a shitcoin. I like to point, whenever we talk about Litecoin, I love to point to, and I didn't send you the screenshot, Christine, but I probably could. It's in my computer. I like to point to a Luktas Jur post on Bitcoin Talk from 2013, outright calling Litecoin a scam and explaining why. So I would rather go with someone like Luktas Jur. I wish I saw that post back in 2013. I didn't, realize the insanity of Litecoin until probably 2015. So it took me a little while. But look, I agree that this thing, INX token, is not trying to be money. It's not. So we do have to put this in a different category than a shitcoin trying to compete with Bitcoin. INX is the security token of the INX exchange. Now, I guess the reason why they're doing it is to compete with something like Binance. Now, Binance has the BNB token, which is also a utility token of the Binance exchange. In the exact same way, INX plans to use their security token as a utility token of their exchange. But CZ himself actually wants the BNB token to be treated as money, because this happened when I was at a conference in Singapore, and I was like even talking to him. He tries to explain to me why the BNB token is good, and one of his arguments was, well, right behind you there's a coffee maker guy, and he'll accept BNB as payment for the coffee. And I'm like, well, so are you telling me that BNB was designed to be money? Now, I don't think Alan Silbert is going to be promoting the fact that you can go and use INX token to buy a cup of coffee. But if you're building it on top of Ethereum, that's what that functionality allows. That means anyone with an Ethereum wallet has the ability to technologically receive your INX token in exchange for a cup of coffee. Now, if that is something you don't want, why are you building this on top of Ethereum? So I know Alan Silbert is really pissed at me, and is probably more pissed at Jimmy, because Jimmy is more respected in the community than I am. And I'm aware that he really wants us to read the 200-page proposal to the SEC, but I don't understand what I'm missing here. It is a token on the Ethereum network. It is a security token that you need to be KYC'd in order to get it initially. And then in order to transfer it to another person, the person you are transferring it to also needs to be KYC'd and approved, at least in the very early stages. I don't know what happens later on. So they try to explain to me where the advantage of Ethereum is coming from, of why they're using it. And maybe I'm too stupid to understand the advantage of Ethereum, because they're not using Ethereum for all of its advantages it currently provides to everyone else that has ever used the Ethereum blockchain. But I can easily point to a dozen things that are problematic for using the Ethereum blockchain, even if we don't include the sheer hypocrisy of the situation. Now, Samson also made the case why Ethereum is a scam, but that went on to say that, well, but using Ethereum is perfectly fine and legitimate, which is insane, an insane position. The other thing that I find kind of like, here's the part that I actually find hypocritical, is that both of them, so this process started in 2017. So this was 2.5 to 3 years in the making. And it sounds like Samson and Jameson Lopp came on board over 2 years ago. So here's my actual, and I don't even care about that 90x that they would get, because they actually made a good logical argument for that. Look, when this project began, they didn't know if they were going to get the SEC approval. So the $2,500 that they invested, or Jameson could have invested into this token at a penny, there was a high chance that he was just going to lose that money, and they would never get the approval, and the project would never launch. So they took the risk and they got the reward. That seems to be, legal, legitimate. But to me, the only reason to use Ethereum is for the hype, so that we're talking about this nonsense on our show and other shows, even though we're being critical of it. But here's where the biggest hypocrisy comes in. It's not like Samson just found out 3 months ago that this thing is being built on Ethereum. He is known for years that this is going to be built on Ethereum. So if you know you guys are about to launch this thing on Ethereum, maybe it's not a good idea to talk shit about Ethereum for the prior 2 years. That's my problem with it, right? Like you knew that this thing was going to launch on Ethereum. So why, go out of your way to talk crap about it? Because now, it's not good. It doesn't make you look good at all. Yeah. So I'll leave it here. I'll give it to Jimmy from here. There were other things that I can say about that interview, but that interview did not make them look good.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is the reason, at least as far as I understand it, the reason why they had to use Ethereum was for the regulators. Essentially, Ethereum had already poured a ton of money into getting some form of
I'm sorry,
approval.
Jimmy. I'm sorry. Can I just interrupt? you started your reply saying the reason they had to use Ethereum. They didn't have to use Ethereum.
Yeah, they didn't.
Like,
They didn't.
this is like there's nothing there that needs Ethereum.
Yeah, it doesn't need Ethereum, but the regulators were already more familiar with it. And the argument I've heard is that it was more, it would have cost even more money and even longer if they wanted to go on something like, say, Liquid. So instead, they decided to bite the bullet, and like hold their nose and go on Ethereum despite that. And that's the impression that I got from at least messaging Alan Silbert and so on. That said, I don't think the optics of this situation are at have been much of a consideration for them, which is really strange because like if you're an outsider just looking at this, they have a token, it's being sold to a bunch of people, it's on Ethereum, they want a quote unquote community to promote it. I mean, does that sound like a scammy ICO to you? Because it certainly does to me. And then they're complaining about people attacking them about it. I mean, that's just the Bitcoin immune system at work, right? We've seen so many things like that. If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So, you're going to go and attack it just the same way you would like, other scams that have been in this space. So the fact that they're complaining about it and saying, oh, you don't understand, we're a special snowflake that got SEC approval. That might all be true. But I like from an optics perspective, how it looks to anybody that's just sort of looking at it kind of quickly, it looks like a scam. And, complaining and saying, well, but we're not a scam because we're a security token. We're not a scam because we're doing this. We're not a scam because we're doing that. Well, you're not, like, you didn't set yourself up to get the benefit of the doubt when you did it on Ethereum. You have a token that's quote unquote a utility token, which we still fully don't understand. And you're advocating for an XRP army like group of people that are essentially brainless and don't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, that like you're going to say all that and expect us to give you the benefit of the doubt. Now I do know I realize people like Samson Mao, Whale Panda, and Jameson Lopp, and even Alan Silver to some degree have some cachet in the Bitcoin community. They've earned some of the respect that they've had. But, in this community, it's not necessarily about your reputation. It's also about merit. And you don't get to coast on your reputation. Just ask Gavin Andreessen or Mike Hearn or Jeff Garzik how far that gets you. It doesn't. Even Trace Mayer, you can do the right thing for a long time. You do one wrong thing and people will call you out on it. So no, you don't get to get a pass. You have to answer the questions in a forthright manner. And if you're saying stuff like, we want INX token holders to be our brand ambassadors, and we want something like a brainless XRP army, well, then we're going to call you out on it. And if you're complaining about that and calling people, oh, you guys are zealots, or this is like, Bitcoin SJWism or something like that, you don't really have a leg to stand on. Because we're calling you out for something legitimate. It's not, oh, we're just zealots that are saying all tokens are scams or something. No, this looks, tastes, and sounds like a scam. You need to explain. The burden of proof is on you to prove that it is not a scam. And I realize there are like SEC limitations and lawyers that are telling you can't speak about certain things or whatever. But regardless, you do not get the benefit of the doubt in cases like this. I don't care what kind of reputation you have. If you're releasing a coin, you better have some very good arguments to back it up. And so far, I haven't seen them. So, and they're saying, oh, you need to read our 200-page paper in order to understand our argument. Sorry, I don't read 40-page white papers of shitcoin ICOs either. So burden of proof is on you. I mean, I would have been fine if they just said, you know what, just wait, like we'll show you that this is legit. And, once our platform launches and we have an exchange and everything's working fine, you'll see how good it is. That would have been a good answer. Instead, what they're saying is this is a legitimate product, and anyone that's saying different is an affront to humanity or something like that. And that is just completely ridiculous. And I reject those notions.
Damn, Jimmy. So you have way stronger opinions than me. Even I am not calling this a scam.
I didn't say it was a scam. I'm just saying it looks, smells, tastes like a scam to anyone on the outside. And you haven't done a good enough job explaining why it isn't one, right? You don't get the benefit of the doubt. The burden of proof is on you because it looks, smells, tastes like a scam. I'm not saying it is. Obviously, you got SEC approval. There's something, and you have advisors that have been in the space for a while that have some credibility. So, you know, that's something. But you don't automatically get the benefit of the doubt because there are all these detracting things.
Yeah, I'll just put this from INX Token offering. Buy INX tokens. We work with regulators. We do not run from them. We built our own technology. We do not license it. Our management has top-line experience on Wall Street and digital space. We believe a strong, healthy community of token holders is preferred to only a few institutional or VC investors. We believe we are well positioned to take significant market share in this multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. They are the first SEC approved security token, but as you say, Jimmy, it is unclear, you know, what it's going to be all about and why we shouldn't believe that this is not a scam.
That image is there because of the hilariousness of the graph below. So apparently these are the only two events more important or equally as important as the INX token: the birth of Christ and the Dutch East India Company from 1600, which was the first ever security.
Yeah, first ever public company or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like where you can own a share.
So the INX token is the next most important thing to ever come out in the world since those two events. So this isn't like somewhere in their perspectives. I just want to go back.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about with optics, right? Like these are the ridiculous claims that ICOs make, and again, it looks, smells, tastes like a scam. I'm not saying it is one. Obviously, you got SEC approval, but when you say stuff like this, what does it look like? What conclusion are people supposed to get?
Yeah. Hey, I just want to. We should move on to another topic, and I think I'm about to say something that's gonna get me in a lot of trouble with the community. But you know me, I'm gonna say this shit anyway. So look, right now, all of people they're trying to make the case that we don't know what we're talking about. No, we understand exactly what you're doing, and we don't agree with it. Like it's not that we're not missing any information here. We know how Ethereum works. We know why people use Ethereum, and these arguments that, well, it's better than the bank holding on to these tokens, and then you talk about how complicated it was for 2.5 years getting this approval. So no, you didn't make it any easier. The other point is, and Mr. I think I'm gonna say that I think I've been saying this longer than Mr. Hodel, even though I saw a tweet from 2018 today when I was going through these Twitter feeds from Mr. Hodel, that when it's all said and done, projects like Ethereum and all this other nonsense are going to cause more damage than projects like BitConnect and OneCoin, because those collapse relatively quickly, and the majority of people know how they're being fooled and scammed. But with something like Ethereum, the amount of damage that it will cause is massive. And I know Alan Silbert thinks that he's done something incredible for the world by putting this token on top of Ethereum. No, you didn't. You're setting back the space. You're not advancing it. You're not actually making the world better. And here's the thing that's going to get me into a lot of trouble, and maybe even with Jimmy Song. So Alan Silbert, during that interview with Peter McCormick, starts talking about how when they approached all of these advisors and investors, they approached them for their expertise. They approached Lob for his technical expertise. They approached Samson for his expertise with like exchange. They approached Whale Panda with his expertise on trading. I'm sorry, like, yes, those guys are smart. They wouldn't be in this position today. But the reason you approach these guys is because of their popularity and how many Twitter accounts they had. Because there are other people that could have, done the same thing without the fanfare and fireworks. And that one will probably get me in some trouble with these guys.
Well, I don't want to speculate on why they did that, but I will say that they did break new ground as far as getting regulatory approval from the SEC. And I think that was really more what Alan was celebrating and what all of the advisors were celebrating. I will say, though, that I'm very disappointed that this regulatory breakthrough had to happen on Ethereum. And they were very clear this, they chose Ethereum because the regulators were familiar with it already, and they had to go in that direction for that reason. I think this is laying a bear trap for anybody else that wants to create a security token. Essentially, they're going to be like, hey, we need to make a security token. Now that means we have to release it on Ethereum. I think they would have served the community a lot better if they released it on something like Liquid, even if it took longer. Now, I understand they may not have had funding and it would have taken longer and they didn't want to deal with all of that. That's fine. But don't make it out to be like some great innovation for the community when you built it on Ethereum. I mean, that's literally just not a good thing for anyone else that's going to follow you, because now they have to build it on Ethereum too. So in that sense, I don't like it. And I think they're making too much of this SEC regulator approval thing. They might have broken new ground, but it's on really crappy ground. It's on garbage. It's in a garbage dump. Like it's the garbage dump of Ethereum. So I don't think they've really done anything that's necessarily that great for the space.
All right. I hear you, Tone, on, they went after a lot of people followed on Twitter. So
right, and they also went after people that would make them look more credible, because you could have gotten, a security expert from the shitcoin community. You could have gotten like a more Ethereum friendly experts in the exchange space. You could have easily gotten them. But no, there's a reason why you approach these guys, and it's not only because of their expertise, and they will never, and Alan will never admit that.
No, okay. I think he would admit that maybe he wanted to go after more Bitcoin maximalists because that's what he was. But I mean, like, whether or not that was consciously a part of it, that's something that would be hard for us to really figure out unless he came out and said it.
Yeah, I see a couple of themes with the conversation now. Like on the one hand, they've broken new ground with getting SEC approval, but on the other hand, they're short on substance. They're really pushing this strong marketing arm to get the word out there, and that has kind of,
by the way, us talking shit about this coin is marketing for them. It really is.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the criticism here is more substance, less flash. And taking a look at Bitcoin, nevertheless, let's move on to what's happening with Bitcoin right now. A Visa executive is telling investors to opt out with Bitcoin as the US dollar index plummets. We have a Visa executive, Andy Yee, blasting the Federal Reserve's policy change, which will allow US dollar inflation to creep above its 2% target. Yee encouraged investors to opt out of the financial system with Bitcoin. From Fidelity, we have the president filing for a new Bitcoin fund, and Grayscale, the world's largest Bitcoin and crypto asset manager, has a massive premium problem. The world's largest Bitcoin cryptocurrency asset manager has taken the investment world by storm and helped propel crypto onto Wall Street. Barry Silbert's expanding digital currency group, currently boasting over 5 billion in assets under management, up around 40% since last quarter report in June, and largely driven by its flagship Bitcoin trust. So Bitcoin is having a heyday right now. Everyone, we're seeing Visa going into it. Yeah, jump in.
It's quietly moving under the radar, and it's about time someone serious is challenging, the Grayscale's investment trusts, which have just launched their shitcoin, like I think Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, although I thought they've been around for a while. Maybe the tradable versions are now out there. I guess they launched them on pink sheets for retail trading, and they're trading at like 1,000% premium. Imagine buying Litecoin at 1,000% premium, like 10x over its actual price. I mean, that's fucking insane. Same thing with Bcash. So hopefully Fidelity can bring some sanity into the retail trading world through your broker. And Fidelity looks like they're taking a run at it. Like, we really got to stop talking about shitcoins altogether and only focus on Bitcoin and what's going on with the tech, because it's very, very frustrating. And at this point, I'm going to have like three friends in this space, and I'll never get another speaker for Uncomplicated. Yeah, so there's nothing, but the thing is, look, Bitcoin's doing great, and it's going to go up. I mean, look, it's a little, I think I'm going to try to get Plan B on the show, and we can talk about that. I think 100K next year for a Bitcoin is, I think it's a little optimistic, to say the least, but hey, I hope it happens. I would be happy if it does. But Bitcoin is chugging along, and everything else is just noise. And it's unfortunate that people just don't understand what makes Bitcoin different. But maybe one day the world will, act rationally, though we haven't seen it so far, probably ever.
Yeah, this whole thing is basically a lot of retail interest in Bitcoin, and they just haven't been very well educated. They just know that the current system's really terrible, and that they want to opt out of it, and they're looking for vehicles to do it. Larger fund managers are trying to do it, but they're maybe older, that don't know all of the possibilities and so on. So this is kind of what happens, is that they're bringing in assumptions from the old financial world into this new one, and saying, oh, I need to diversify, therefore I need the Litecoin and Ethereum classic things from Barry Silbert. Barry, who, by the way, is the brother of Alan, which is the story that we just talked about. So all that's to say, this is ignorance, and you're going to get wrecked if you're too ignorant in this space. So they'll learn some expensive lessons. Will hopefully, that doesn't completely turn them off in this space. But yeah, that's kind of what happens.
Yeah, and it's really funny how the world gave Goldman Sachs shit for pooling a bunch of mortgages together and then selling them to investors. And they weren't selling them to mom and pops. They were selling them to sophisticated investors that should have known better. And everyone gave Goldman Sachs shit for that, but no one gives Barry Silbert shit for offering Bcash to retail investors at 1,000% premium. That seems to be perfectly normal in the crypto space.
Well, it's kind of a weird time right now, just given all the crazy money that's being pumped into the economy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's what we're seeing with the Fed announcement previous week, that they're now no longer having a 2% inflation target, but rather will be treated as an average, which means inflation could go higher than 2%. And so we're seeing the US dollar become devalued before our very own eyes. And so we legitimately have an executive at Visa saying, well, we have to go, you can opt out of that inflationary scenario, the depleting dollar, by opting into an asset like Bitcoin. Others are saying gold. And we do see Fidelity creating their own Bitcoin fund, Grayscale also creating their own altcoin funds. So but a reaction to the crisis we're seeing in the injection of dollars into the economy, printing of money by the Fed, and people are going to try to take advantage of opportunities outside of that. So I don't know if you guys have any more comments. We'll go to the mempool.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too. All right, so it looks like we have the same exact thing that happens every weekend, which is that the mempool clears over the weekend. It took a while. I think it took all the way until Sunday night for all of the 1 sat per byte transactions to clear. But then Monday came, and then we had a big spike of transactions. They seem there doesn't seem quite as many 1 sat per byte transactions. So right now it's fairly expensive. It's in the 70 to 80 sats per byte range. But if you're willing to wait a little bit, it's already starting to come down. So we can expect, like 20 to 30 we'll probably get through in the next few hours. If you're willing to wait overnight, I'm going to guess that 5 to 6 will clear. But it depends on how many more new transactions come in overnight. So things are looking pretty good. And I mean, there's some significant price action happening today, so that might explain what's going on.
Interesting. And we want to remind people, Programming Bitcoin by Jimmy Song is available for purchase. Learn how to program a Bitcoin library with this hands-on guide from one of the leading teachers on Bitcoin and Bitcoin programming. Author Jimmy Song shows you the basics, including the math, blocks, network, and transactions behind this popular cryptocurrency and its blockchain payment system. You'll also learn how simplified payment verification, how proof of work works. Learn how to program Bitcoin from scratch. Thank you, Jimmy. We also have Unconfiscatable, a conference put on by Tone. That's the next one coming up. But we're going to take a look at price analysis. We see the US stock market's up today, highly driven up there by tech stocks. So we're also seeing a Bitcoin shooting up, hovering at the 12,000 mark. What's going on, Tone?
Yeah, let's go and take a look at Bitcoin. I didn't bring you guys a video yesterday, and yeah, Unconfiscatable. We're updating the website now. We believe we've chosen the dates. It's going to be late April, the weekend before the Bitcoin Magazine's Bitcoin 2021 event. Of course, COVID can change absolutely everything. Who knows what's going to happen after the election as well. We will probably wait until after the election to start ticket sales, just to make sure the country is still, like infrastructure still exists, depending on who wins. Yeah, so that's what we're looking at, April, for the upcoming Unconfiscatable. All right, I'm going to do another video later today. I'm going to take a deeper dive at the price. I was actually just going to skip it, but now that Bitcoin has risen so much and we're at 12,000, this makes sense. Now, this is the daily chart. Let's go to the weekly. I'm also in the sun, so it's hard for me to see my charts. So the weekly is looking great. This is, we opened the week above that $11,600 mark. And as you guys know, that was my bullish versus neutral line. Above 11,600, I was going to be bullish. And I am still bullish right now. I'm bullish going into this week. I'm probably going to be bullish going into next week, as long as we close above 12,000. I do think that 13 or 14,000 is definitely in the cards. It's, I mean, nothing is guaranteed, but I believe that Bitcoin will rally here for a little bit more upside, and then it will probably take a bit of a correction. This is a very good start to the week. I remain bullish right here. Oh boy, there is. Okay. Now that I'm on one monitor and like Telegram messages coming in the corner where I gotta switch tabs. Here's the daily chart. I'm actually ignoring the Arun here because this cross came at 45. And as you guys know, I want these crosses to come around 20 or 25. So even though this has crossed into the bearish territory, this will completely sink down if Bitcoin has another bullish day and the green one will spike. But either way, these were not good trading opportunities off of this indicator. Now the MACD is about to cross over. That is going to be bullish. The RSI is still bullish. The CMF is bullish. Everything is bullish. We are about to break the resistance line. We're getting very close to the parabolic SARS. We'll probably break that tomorrow. And to me, this is great. This is a very bullish sign out of consolidation. If I extend this resistance line, I gotta hold the shift key. Hold on, guys. As you can see, we broke that. And if I do this and I do this, above that line, I generally become a bull. This arrow is references this line. So the moment we went above 11.6, that's when I start becoming a bull. I know I haven't done a video in a little bit, but that's what I've been talking about up to this point. Been too busy hanging out with people, so I haven't even looked at the markets. Let's see what's going on in the market. More all-time highs. We are topping with the MRI right there. And this is the daily S&P chart, which is probably also topping. Not yet. Probably in about a day or two, so we will keep an eye on that. But the futures chart, which is also daily, that one is topping. So they've misaligned a little bit. How's gold doing? I mean, with all this money printing and even Visa execs are calling out Jerome Powell on wanting to devalue the US dollar. So gold is hanging in there, but still, you know, a second consecutive lower high. So we need to break this high for me to be bullish on gold, but Bitcoin just broke its high. So I am bullish on Bitcoin. That's about it, just a little short on Bitcoin price. I'll try to bring you another video later tonight. And I'm gonna stop screen share and let you guys enjoy the scenery behind me for a little bit. There you go.
Gorgeous,
It is
gorgeous. Oh,
absolutely
hi,
gorgeous out here.
California.
Yeah, I'm in
This is the
Ojai,
time to
California.
enjoy the beautiful nature out there. Oh, we
Yeah.
did have a question from the audience, Tone. What do you think will be higher by the end of the year, the NASDAQ or Bitcoin? I
What do
guess
you
in
mean by
percentage gain.
what do you mean by higher? Like percentage
Percentage
gain
gain, I guess. I don't
at
know.
year end? Well, Bitcoin is not at a yearly all-time high, at a yearly high yet, and NASDAQ certainly is. I think NASDAQ will beat out Bitcoin for yearly gains. I do, because I think that Bitcoin can go to 14, but then it can fall down to 10. And well, I don't know where Bitcoin started the year. I'm sorry. So if we measure it from this year's all-time high, I think the NASDAQ will beat it. But I think Bitcoin was way lower on January 1st. So if we go from January 1st, it'll probably be Bitcoin. But if we go from the February tops of both NASDAQ and Bitcoin, it'll probably be the NASDAQ, because I think Bitcoin went up like 50% in the first few months of the year. And but they both topped together, NASDAQ and Bitcoin. I'm just going to double check that. I'm going to go to the weekly chart of Bitcoin, and I'm going to look at the beginning of the year. So, right, so on January, yeah, so Bitcoin started the year at $7,500. And by February, it was over $10,000. So yeah, Bitcoin is at a new high. It's 2,000. Bitcoin is already 20% higher than its February high, and like 40% higher than January high. So I'm changing my mind. I have to go with Bitcoin here, because even if Bitcoin pulls back to 10,000, which I think it will, all Bitcoin has to do is stay above 11,000. That's a 10% rise. I think NASDAQ is going to be pulling back as well. It's a tough call. It's a tough call. From year start, it's definitely Bitcoin.
You think the NASDAQ's going to be pulling back?
NASDAQ might pull back a little bit with the election and stuff. But from the annual high, it it can certainly be the NASDAQ, but from year start, because like I said, Bitcoin went up like 30% from January to February. So NASDAQ can't beat that.
Okay, we'll see what happens around the election time. Thank you so much, Tone Vays, our resident Bitcoin educator, consultant, and trader, and host of Unconfiscatable. You want to check out that conference, as well as Jimmy Song, author of Programming Bitcoin. He talks about all things on tech on Bitcoin on our show, Bitcoin Brief. I'm Christine Lee, New York-based journalist. Thank you for joining us this Tuesday, September 1st.
Thank you, guys.
Fiat Delendes, this song is done.